in this video we'll prove that any odd integer, any odd positive integer is of the form 2 into q plus 1. Alright, so in order to prove this one, we will revise just the theorems, just the properties that we studied just now. That integer plus integer is always an integer, integer minus integer is again an integer, integer multiplied by an integer is an integer. Then we saw even multiplied by even number or even multiplied by an odd number will always be an even number, or in other words, even multiplied by any number will be an even number. Even plus even will be an even number, odd plus odd will be an even number, but even when you add with an odd number, the resultant will be odd number. Alright, so that's what we are going to, those are the properties that we are going to use in this one. Alright, we want to prove any odd positive integer is of the form 2 into q plus 1. So this is what we want to prove. Alright. So let's see. So let us consider, let odd positive integer be a in this time. So let odd positive integer be a. Alright. Since we want to prove that it is in the form 2 into q plus 1, we know what a has to be divided by. So a now has to be divided by 2. Alright. The 2 into q plus 1, that term 2 itself is the divisor. Alright. So a, when you divide by 2, again we get some quotient and answer will be, and the remainder will be r. Now tell me, now a can now be expressed as 2 into q plus r. Please remember, what is a? A is the positive integer, it's an odd positive integer. So we want this to be in the form odd now, correct? So what are the possible values of r here? So r can now take 0 or 1. So as I said, we want this value to be an odd value, correct? Let's see what happens. So if I put 0, if I put r as 0, now what happens? If I put r as 0, then it will become 2 into q. So if it becomes 2 into q, 2 is an even number. Even number, now q is some integer, which means 2 into q will again be an even number, because you are multiplying even to some number q. Even into even or even into odd is always an even number, which means 2 into q will always be an even number. So therefore, if I put r as 0, if r is equal to 0, 2 into q, this number becomes even number, but we definitely know that a is an odd number. So therefore a cannot be in this form, 2 into q. So let's see what happens if I put r as 1. So if I put r as 1, a will be 2 into q plus 1. Now see this one, 2 into q, 2 is an even number multiplied by some number is resultant is even number, 1 is an odd number, so which means even plus odd, the resultant will be an odd number. So any odd number that you take can always be written in the form 2 into q plus 1. That is true actually, you think it logically. What is logically answer here? Whenever you divide odd number by 2, the remainder will always be 1. So that 1 itself is coming here. Is it correct? Alright. So let's take an example, whether it is true or not. If you take 5, 2, 2s are 4 and 1 remains. So 5 is written as 2 into 2 plus 1. Correct? 2 into 2 plus 1. You take anything which is again in the form 2 into q plus 1. You take 101. So 2 when you divide by 50, it is 100 and again the remainder is 1. So 101 is again written as 2 into 50 plus 1, which is again in the form 2 into q plus 1. So essentially any odd number can be now written as 2 into q plus 1. I hope the arguments you understood. The arguments here is that 2 into q is an even number. When you add odd number to an even number, the resultant will be odd number. So any odd number can now be expressed as 2q plus 1.